Let me ask you something real. What would happen to your life right now if your employer called you tomorrow morning and said, "We're letting you go"? Not a warning, no severance negotiation, just gone. I want you to sit with that for a second. Because I know a man, brilliant man, black man, spent 22 years climbing the ladder at a Fortune 500 company, did everything right, showed up early, stayed late, never missed a performance review, mentored younger colleagues, and at 52 years old, they handed him a cardboard box and a thank you card. 22 years, and they were done with him in 22 minutes. Now here's the question I want you to wrestle with today. What if the real problem wasn't his performance? What if the problem was his position? Stay with me through this entire video, because by the end, I'm going to give you a framework, a mindset shift, and a 90-day plan that could literally change the financial trajectory of your entire family. Not just yours, your family's. Let's get into it. Here's what I need you to understand. We, black people in America, were given a specific set of instructions after the civil rights movement. The message passed down through our parents, our grandparents, our teachers, our preachers was this: get a good education, get a good job, keep your head down, and you'll be okay. And I want to be clear, the people who gave us that advice loved us. They were trying to protect us. They were navigating a world that had very different rules for black people, and they gave us the best map they had. But here's the problem. That map was drawn for a different era, and it was never, let me say this clearly, it was never designed to produce owners. It was designed to produce workers. Think about the difference for a second. When you are an employee, you trade your time for money. Period. The moment you stop trading your time, the money stops. You have no equity. You have no leverage. You have no asset that works while you sleep. When you are an employer, when you are a business owner, you build a system. The system generates value. The system pays people. The system serves customers. And you own the system. That is a fundamentally different relationship with money and with life. Now look at the numbers. Black Americans represent about 13% of the US population. We control nearly $1.8 trillion in annual buying power. But black-owned businesses with paid employees, we're talking less than 2% of all such businesses in this country. 2%. That is not a talent gap. That is not an intelligence gap. That is an instruction gap. Nobody pulled us aside and said, "Baby, don't just learn how to work. Learn how to own." And I'm not here to blame anyone for that. But I'm here to say, and I need you to hear me on this, nobody is coming to fix that for us. And you know what? That is actually great news, because it means we get to fix it. We get to write a new set of instructions for the next generation. And it starts with you making a decision today. I've been in business for a long time, and I want to tell you something I know to be true. The barriers to building a business have never been lower than they are right now. Never. Let me give you 3 reasons. Number 1, technology has eliminated the gatekeepers. 20 years ago, if you wanted to reach customers, you needed a physical storefront, a marketing budget, a distribution deal. You needed capital just to get started. Today, you can launch a business from your phone, reach tens of thousands of people on social media for free, take payments online within 24 hours, and deliver your service or product without ever leaving your house. The gatekeepers are gone. The internet doesn't care what you look like. Number 2, black buying power is at an all-time high. $1.8 trillion. Our community is spending that money somewhere. The question is, are we spending it with businesses we own? Or are we spending it to build someone else's wealth? When you build a business that serves your community, you're not just feeding your family. You're keeping dollars circulating inside a community that needs it. That's not just business. That's power. Number 3, corporate America already trained you. Here's the irony that most people miss. If you've been working in corporate for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you already have skills. Skills that took companies significant resources to develop in you. Project management, communication, problem solving, financial analysis, operations, leadership. You know how to do things that people will pay for. You just haven't been paid like an owner yet. Think of it this way. You have been farming on someone else's land your whole career. And you've gotten good at farming. You know the seasons. You know the soil. You know how to produce. Now it's time to own the land. Now I know what some of you are thinking right now. I can hear the objections already. Myron, I don't have capital. Listen, some of the most powerful business models require no startup capital. Consulting, coaching, freelancing, service-based businesses. You sell the outcome before you deliver it. Capital follows proof of concept. Myron, I don't have time. You have 2 to 3 hours every evening. You have weekends. I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow. I'm telling you to build while you still have a paycheck coming in. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week is 10 hours a week. 40 hours a month, that is a part-time job you're working for yourself. Myron, the economy is bad right now. Let me tell you something about recessions. Recessions don't destroy wealth. They transfer it. From the unprepared to the prepared, from employees to owners. Every major economic downturn in American history produced a new class of millionaires. The question is, which side of that transfer do you want to be on? The excuses are running out. The opportunity is right here, right now. And it's yours if you want it. All right, let's talk about how to actually do this. Because motivation without a map is just emotion. And emotion without strategy fades by Monday morning. I want to give you what I call the 4 stages of transition. This is the framework I wish someone had handed me when I was first trying to figure this out. These 4 stages are clarity, validation, systemization, legacy. Let's walk through each one. Stage 1, clarity. Before you do anything else, you need to know what you're selling. And I don't mean a product. I mean a transformation. I mean an outcome. I mean a problem that you can solve for someone that they would actually pay to have solved. Here's the exercise I want you to do tonight. Take out a piece of paper and write down 10 skills, 10 things your employer is currently paying you to do. Just 10. Project management, data analysis, training new hires, writing reports, managing difficult clients, negotiating contracts, whatever it is. Now look at that list and ask yourself, who else has this problem? Because somewhere there are individuals, small businesses, nonprofits, other professionals who struggle with exactly what you do every single day without even thinking about it. The formula is simple. Skill plus audience plus problem equals business. You already have the skill, the audience already exists. The problem is already real. You just need to connect those 3 dots. And I want to speak specifically to my people in corporate who feel like their skills aren't entrepreneurial enough. The HR manager who thinks nobody will pay for HR consulting. The finance professional who thinks only big firms do financial advising. The IT specialist who thinks you need a venture-backed startup. You are wrong. And I mean that in the most loving way possible. There are Black-owned small businesses all across this country that cannot find good HR support, cannot afford Big 4 accounting, cannot get competent IT help. You, with your corporate background, are exactly what they need. And they will pay you well for it. Stage 2, validation. This is where most aspiring entrepreneurs make their first big mistake. They get excited. They spend 3 months building a website. They design a logo. They pick a business name. They print business cards. They build a whole brand identity. And they haven't made a single dollar. I need you to hear me on this. Do not build anything until someone has paid you money. Validation means this. Before you invest time, before you invest money, before you quit your job, go get 3 paying customers. That's it. 3 real human beings who have a real problem, who you have a real solution for, and who have given you real money in exchange for that solution. That's your proof of concept. That's your permission to go further. Now, what does your income need to look like before you leave your job? Here is my personal rule. Do not exit your corporate income until your business income has consistently replaced 50 to 70% of your salary for at least 3 consecutive months. Not 1 good month, not 2 promising months, 3 consecutive months of 50 to 70% replacement income. Why? Because consistency is the thing that will tell you whether you have a real business or a lucky streak. And stop telling people you're building a brand when you haven't sold anything yet. Building a brand without revenue is just expensive procrastination. Sell first, brand later. Stage 3, systemization. This is where it gets powerful. And this is where most people get stuck in a trap they don't even recognize. Here's the trap. You leave corporate, you start making money. You're doing the work, serving the clients, delivering the product, and you feel free. But then you realize you haven't built a business. You've built yourself a different job, a harder one, with less security and no benefits. A real business is a system that can operate without you being personally present for every transaction. A real business has people, processes, and a clear product delivery mechanism. People means you hire or partner with others who can do things you can't do or things you shouldn't be spending your time doing. Processes means you document how the work gets done so that someone else can do it the same way you would. Product means your service or offering is clearly defined, clearly priced, and clearly deliverable every time. Leverage is the word I want you to tattoo on your brain. Leverage is the difference between exchanging hours for dollars, which is still just employment, and building something that multiples your effort. When you have leverage, your time is no longer the ceiling on your income. And that is when true wealth becomes possible. Stage 4, legacy. Now I want to bring it back home. Because if all we're talking about is money, we're missing the point. You need to understand something about the history of black wealth in America. We have built it before. We built it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, what they called Black Wall Street. We built it in Rosewood, Florida. We built it in Greenwood. And time again, it was taken from us. Burned down, legislated away, violently stolen. But here's what I need you to know in 2024. They can burn down a building. They cannot burn down a digital business. They can redline a neighborhood. They cannot redline a YouTube channel, a consulting practice, an e-commerce store, a coaching program. The nature of wealth has changed. And for the first time in American history, we have the ability to build something that cannot be physically destroyed. So when I talk about becoming an employer instead of an employee, I am not just talking about your retirement. I am talking about your children not starting from zero. I am talking about your grandchildren inheriting options, not obligations. I am talking about your family name meaning something 50 years from now. That is the real goal. That is what legacy looks like. And it starts with the decision you make today. Now, I have to be straight with you about something. I am not one of these gurus who's going to stand up here and tell you entrepreneurship is all freedom and passive income and laptop on the beach lifestyle. That's not real. And you deserve real. So let me tell you 3 genuine risks and exactly how to handle each one. Risk number 1, most businesses fail. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, roughly half of all new businesses don't survive past 5 years. And the number 1 reason? It is not a bad product. It is not bad timing. It is not even lack of capital. It is the inability to sell. Most people who start businesses know how to do the work. They do not know how to find customers, communicate value, handle objections, and close. And without those skills, it doesn't matter how great your product is. You will fail. So here is how you handle this risk. Before you launch anything, before you name your business, before you build anything, learn how to sell, read books on sales, take a course, practice with real people. Sales is the master skill of entrepreneurship. Everything else is secondary. Risk number 2, loneliness is real. Here's something nobody tells you about leaving corporate. Your colleagues become part of your identity. The meetings, the water cooler conversations, the team lunches, even the parts you complained about, they provided structure and community. When you go out on your own, that structure disappears. And the people in your life, your friends, your family, may not understand what you're doing. They may not be able to relate to your problems, and that can get very lonely very fast. How do you handle this? You find your people intentionally. Masterminds, entrepreneurial communities, mentors who have already walked the road you're walking. You build a new social environment on purpose, because you cannot win an entrepreneurial game with an employee-minded support system. Risk number 3, family pressure will be your hardest obstacle. I'm going to be honest with you. This one is the one that stops more black professionals than any business problem. Your parents may not understand. They sacrificed to give you access to the corporate world they never had. Watching you walk away from it might feel to them like you're throwing away everything they worked for. Your spouse may be afraid. The stability, the benefits, the predictable paycheck, those things matter. And asking the people you love to trust a vision they can't yet see is a real challenge. Here's the truth. You cannot argue someone into belief. You cannot debate your way to their support. There is only one language that changes minds in this situation, and that language is results. Don't convince them with words. Convince them with months of growing income. Convince them with that first client check. Convince them with your energy, because when you are working on something that is aligned with your purpose, the people around you can feel it. Build first. Talk second. And let me leave you with this thought about risk. The risk of staying an employee is invisible. You don't feel it every day. It's quiet, slow, accumulating, until one day it becomes a cardboard box and a thank you card at 52 years old. The risk of starting a business is visible. You feel it. Every decision feels heavy. Every slow month feels like failure. But it is a risk you can see and therefore a risk you can manage. People fear the wrong thing. Don't be one of them. I want to tell you about someone I know. She spent 11 years as an HR director at a large healthcare company. She was good at her job, promoted twice, respected by leadership. but she always felt like she was building someone else's vision. Like her best work was making other people's companies great, and she was going home with a paycheck while they went home with equity. So she started small. On the side, she began consulting for small, black-owned businesses, the kind of businesses that need real HR infrastructure but can't afford a full HR department. She charged reasonable rates. She delivered serious work. In her first year, she made $47,000 on the side while keeping her corporate salary. In her second year, her consulting income passed her corporate salary for the first time. In year 3, she left, and by year 4, she had 3 contractors working under her, serving 12 clients, and had crossed 7 figures in revenue. She did not have a Harvard MBA. She did not have startup capital. She did not have a famous mentor. She had skills, courage, and a framework. Now, I want you to zoom out for a second and think about the bigger picture here. We come from a lineage of people who built something from nothing under conditions that were designed to stop them. Madam C.J. Walker became the first self-made female millionaire in America in the early 1900s as a black woman in the Jim Crow South. Think about what she had to overcome just to exist, let alone to build. Robert F. Smith built a private equity firm that became one of the largest in the world, and then wrote a check to pay off the student loan debt of an entire graduating class. These are not anomalies. These are proof of what our community is capable of when we are given, or when we take, the opportunity to own. That legacy is yours. It belongs to you, and you don't have to start a billion-dollar company to carry it forward. You just have to start. All right? We are not leaving this video with just inspiration. We are leaving with a plan. Here is exactly what the next 90 days look like. I'm breaking it into 3 30-day phases. Days 1 through 30, clarity. Your only job this month is to figure out what you're selling and who you're selling it to. Step 1, write down 10 skills your employer pays you to do. Don't overthink it, just list them. Step 2, from those 10, choose the one that you could help someone with right now, today, without any additional training or infrastructure. Step 3, talk to 10 people in your network this month, not to sell them anything, just to ask them questions. What are the biggest challenges they face in that area? What have they tried? What would they pay to have solved? You are doing market research. You are learning to see the problem through their eyes. By day 30, you should know what you offer, who you serve, and what problem you solve. Days 31 through 60, validation. Now you're going to get uncomfortable. Good. That's where growth lives. Step 1, create the simplest possible offer you can. 1 sentence, 1 outcome, 1 price. Step 2, offer it to 2 or 3 people. If you're not confident yet, offer it free or at a steep discount in exchange for an honest testimonial. Get real feedback. Deliver real results. Step 3, track every dollar. Even if it's small, $50, $200, $1,000. Track it, because you are proving to yourself and to your family that this is real. By day 60, you should have at least 1 paying customer and 1 piece of real feedback that tells you how to get better. Days 61 through 90, momentum. Now you're building. Step 1, set a specific revenue target for month 3. Not a vague goal. A number. Write it down. Put it somewhere you see it every day. Step 2, invest in 1 skill this month. Sales, marketing, content creation, client delivery. Pick the one that's most limiting your growth right now and go deep on it. Step 3, find your community. 1 mastermind, 1 mentor, 1 group of people who are building the same thing you're building. Accountability is not optional. It is infrastructure. By day 90, you should have momentum. You should have data. You should have proof for yourself and for the people around you that this is not a dream. This is a business. I want to come back to where we started. That man, 52 years old, 22 years of loyalty, a cardboard box and a thank you card. He did everything he was told to do. And the system, a system that was never designed to create owners out of people like us, that system decided it was done with him. That story could be yours. Or it could be the story you tell your children about the life you almost lived before you decided to build something different. We come from people who built an entire nation with no wages, no rights, and no protection. We come from people who rebuilt their communities from ash after they were burned down. We come from people who used 1 I-50 worth of ingredients to build the first black millionaire in this country. Imagine what you can build right now with access to the internet, to technology, to knowledge, to a global marketplace. The only thing standing between you and a different kind of life is a decision. Not a perfect plan, not a big bank account, Not a famous mentor, just a decision. So I'm going to ask you to make that decision today. Not tomorrow, today. Before you go, I need 3 things from you. First, hit that like button. If this video opens something up inside of you, let me know. It takes 1 second and it tells me to keep making content like this. Second, subscribe to Before You Die, because this conversation is just beginning. We are building a community of Black professionals who are done watching wealth skip over their families and ready to do something about it. Third, drop a comment right now. Tell me, what is one skill from your current job that could become a business? I read every comment, and your answer might be the thing that sparks someone else. The next video is already waiting for you on this channel. We're going to talk about how to price your services as a Black entrepreneur, because most people leave 60 to 80% of their income on the table simply because they don't know what to charge. That video is next. Don't miss it. This is Before You Die. I'm Myron Golden, and I'll see you in the next one.